rents dropping, when is the real estate market going to crash, local and national real estate statistics, all that and more on this week's episode of The Week in Real Estate. Hi, my name is Chris Cox and I am a local realtor here serving the Raleigh area of North Carolina as well as the coastal area in Wilmington, North Carolina. And welcome to the first episode of The Week in Real Estate, your weekly recap of all important news that is going on in the real estate market locally as well as nationally. So for today's format of the show, we're going to start with some headlines, just what's been going on in the real estate market, then talk about some local and national statistics, throw a little bit of my insights into where I see the housing market going. And then if you stay to the end, I've got a special opportunity for anybody who stays to the end. I am recording this on the fly here, so please forgive me if you get a lot of uhs and ums or maybe some technical glitches. I'm sure as we get more and more episodes done, we will really master that. So thank you so much for being here, and let's dive right into it. So we're going to start, as I said, with the headlines, and really three main topics that we're going to focus on here for the headlines. Number one is the rents on the decline. Two, we're going to talk about a National Association of Realtors annual report that just came out. I'm going to give you my highlights on that, and then some bold predictions from the NAR, National Association of Realtors, chief economist on where he feels the market is going. So let's first start with rents on the decline. So this is a survey of the housing markets, the major metros in the United States. And what you'll see here is these are the top markets with the highest rent decreases. So this is a survey of 5 unit or more buildings, and these are available units. So this is from redfin.com. All of the articles that I mentioned as far as statistics will be linked to the article itself in the description of this video. But more than this number, you'll see the 8.8% decrease in rental markets, in rents here in the Raleigh area. What does that mean for real estate? Well, what it could mean is that you may see a lot of investors pull back from the Raleigh market because the rental market is just not mathing out. So you're seeing a lot of rents aren't matching what you need to pay in order to become a new investor in here. Now, I don't necessarily believe that it's going to make people unload their rental properties that are currently cash flowing, but for any new investors looking to come in with the rents dropping and the prices really not matching that drop, the math just doesn't math itself out. So keep an eye on that number. Again, this is just a snapshot of all of the just available properties on the market. It doesn't necessarily mean what has been actually rented out. These are just available units, and these are in the larger 5 unit or more buildings, not single families or anything like that. So just wanted to start with those headlines there. Next one. Every single year, the National Association of Realtors since 1983, I want to say maybe it was 1981, somewhere in that time frame, they have released an annual report of profiles of home buyers and home sellers. And over here on the right, you'll see the most staggering statistic, and then I'm going to share a couple other results of that survey. So first-time home buyers in the United States market dropped to a historic low in 2023 to 24%. Now, for some historical standpoint and context for that information, I'm just going to read some notes here. This dropped significantly. You usually see a couple of percentages up and down in most of these things, but this dropped from 32% the year before. And then traditionally, kind of 2008 and prior, so before the Great Recession, that number kind of hovered around 40%. That was kind of the standard bearer for first-time home buyers. They made up about 40% of the market. That dropped significantly to 24% in 2023. So some other highlights that I wanted to mention. I'm going to mention 5 other things that I just found interesting. Again, the link to the entire article. If you are a real estate professional watching this, I strongly encourage you to take a look at that, because it kind of lets you know what the market is doing and what the where we may be heading with some of these statistics. Second one that I wanted to cover is that the main reason for move has been, as far as convenience to job, has another significant mover in the survey itself. This dropped from 38% all the way down to 34%. And then again, from a historical context, that number of people moving for convenience to job was around, in 2014, was around 52%. So a significant drop in that being a reason for people moving. They're just not moving for convenience to job. They're either a lot more working remote, or it's just not as important to them to be close to their work. Another statistic, and this one is, I think, is especially for real estate professionals, but also maybe those first-time home buyers out there who are just struggling into how they can figure out how to get into a house. Of all of the survey results of this, the National Association of Realtors survey, 17% of home purchases were multi-generational homes. So it's a huge uptick in this number over the past few years. We've seen this trend increasing. So these are families that are either, moving their older parents in with them and kind of buying together so that they can, maybe it helps with affordability. Maybe you're able to qualify for a little bit larger of a home if you have some place to also facilitate bringing in your parents in that multi-generational home, whether that is with an accessory dwelling unit or an in-law apartment or something along those lines there. So another interesting statistic I wanted to share. As far as home buyers, again, if you are a home buyer watching this video and you're like, I don't know how long this process is going to take, the median length of buyers in the process from searching for homes until closing, it hovers around 10 weeks. So it's about a 10-week median, meaning that there's just as many people that do more than 10 weeks as that do below 10 weeks. So the median average as far as the home search process has been around 10 weeks. And on average, or on the median number of houses that buyers are previewing or going on showings for before they make a purchase on that is 7. So if you have toured 35 homes, that could still be okay. Sometimes this just represents a median number there. And then finally, just as far as where are people moving, it's the final statistic I want to go over from this survey is that 63% of sellers stay in the same state. So they're moving, just within the same state. 18% are moving to a complete another region of the country, and then an additional 16% are moving to another state within the region. So just some interesting statistics there. I am a stat kind of junkie, so that just kind of shows just some headlines of what the real estate market is doing from a profile of buyers and sellers. Again, link to that survey results, or at least the highlights of it, are going to be in the description below. And then finally, the last week at the National Association of Realtors Next conference, or NXT conference, that was hosted in Boston, Massachusetts, the NAR's chief economist, Lawrence Yun, was on that report, on the stage at that, and he had some bold predictions for where the real estate market is heading in 2025 and 2026. So he expects a significant increase in the number of sales. We're tracking right now for 2024 to be the lowest number of units sold since 1995. So a significant drop in the total number of home sales, not in price, but in the total number of home sales. Lawrence expects that number to jump up to 5.2% in 2025, and then another, 5.2 million in 2025, and then he expects another significant increase, again, if the economy tracks the way they expect it to track in 2026. So that is a quick look at the headlines. Hopefully you're finding great information and useful information from this weekly, the week in real estate. If you are, give us a subscribe or a like, or drop some comments in there. Again, with the first episode of this, I would love your feedback on what I got right with it and what I can do to improve it for future episodes. So moving on to some national statistics before we then jump into some state statistics and some local market statistics where I am at in the Western Wake County area. Let's look at some national statistics and also put these in some kind of context with them. So national statistics, we're going to go over these same 3 slides will be highlighted in every episode so you can kind of get a pulse on the national market. These are 3 kind of indicators of where the real estate market may be heading and where it is trending at. So this is the statistics for the active inventory on the market. So the week ending last Friday, which is the most recent statistics that I can pull for this one, is 721,576. That is down 1.9% from the week before, which was at 735,718. If I look at the same week year over year, so the same week number in 2023, we have seen a significant increase. So that number was at 566,941, and it's up 27%. That's $721,000. 721 houses on the market there. So to give you some historical context for this, that number back in 2015, let me just pull up that exact number for you so I'm not just making it up. So in 2015, for some historical context for inventory, so yes, we are up from the same week year over year. However, going back to 2015, which was still a strong real estate market, that number was about 1.1 million. So it did 1.1140557 to be exact. So some historical context for what that number looks like, but we'll be tracking that on the episodes of the week in real estate. Next one we're going to take a look at is the number of new listings. So 2024, this week, in 2024, 48,863 new listings hit the market. In 2023, this same week was 55,000, a drop of 13%. And then going back to 2022, it's in the middle there at 52,000. So this just kind of shows new listing inventory. We've seen it drop in the last couple months here from peaking in the summer months, which is again the annual trend that we usually see for that. And then the final group of national statistics is going to be the number of pending sales. So these are the number of national pending sales that are out there compared to the same time frame last year. So we are up 11% from the same time frame in 2023 with 336,000 pending sales as of last week. 301,000 the year before, and 314 back in 2022. The link to these statistics, again, we pull from a very reliable resource of Housing Wire for that statistics. Again, that just kind of gives us an overview of what the national statistics look like, where we are trending as a national real estate market. So before I get into the local statistics here in Wake County, let's talk about something as what I'm going to call the rant, the weekly rant every week, just my kind of editorial on what I feel as far as any questions I'm being asked or just what I see in the real estate market. This week, I am going to talk about the question that I actually got this question yesterday while I was showing some property, and they said, "Hey, Chris, need you to be honest with me. Is the real estate market going to crash?" I do not believe it is anywhere near what we're looking at from the buildup of 2006, 2007, 2008. I got my license in 2008, so I was on the beginning ends of the Great Recession. There is when I got my real estate license. Yeah, fantastic time to get into real estate. But 2 key reasons why I truly believe that the real estate market is not heading towards any kind of crash, with a little asterisk on that. So earlier last week, I did put together a video, which again I will link to in the description here, about the recent election of Donald Trump as president and just his housing plans, his strategy, how he's going to, and what his policies may do to affect the real estate market. Go take a look at that. I don't want to go too much into that, but that's just that little asterisk as far as some of those policies get put into place, especially with the mass deportation. That could take all of these two reasons why I don't feel it's going to drop or have a crash off the table completely. But the first one is going to be the equity. We are at a historic high for the amount of equity that people have in their houses. So on the slide there, you'll see the left-hand side was the housing crisis time. So 2008, we saw that there was $9.7 trillion in mortgage debt, and there was only $8.2 trillion in homeowner equity. Fast forward to current days, we have a total of $13.2 trillion in mortgage debt. So yes, that has increased. However, homeowner equity has reached an all-time high with $35.1 trillion in equity that is sitting out there. So what does that mean? That means that there are a lot more people who are in a position where, God forbid, they lost their job or had a death or had a need to sell their property. There is equity to do that. They will not lose money on that, which is where what we saw in 2008, 9, 10, 11 was a lot of short sales, a lot of foreclosures, people not being able to make their mortgage payments and deciding to get out of that. That was a large factor in the housing crash during that time. So that's the first factor, which I truly believe means we should not be heading towards any kind of real estate market crash. And then the second kind of statistic out there is new construction homes. We just do not have the supply of homes to meet the demand. And this all stems, again, back to that Great Recession. So what you'll see on this chart here is you'll see the black bar, that line that goes across. That is the kind of the historical average, the median number of new construction houses over the time as far as annual new constructions. That is what fuels the housing market in reality. If there's not enough new houses being built, there's not enough opportunities for movement. So the supply is minimized. It doesn't meet its potential. What you'll see there in that red circle is that from the years basically 2007 all the way to 2018, maybe even to 2019, we fell below that number in new construction homes. So what that meant is just we were not building enough houses because we were at Great Recession, didn't have, it just wasn't making sense for new construction homes to be built. So they were not building them. That led to a large gap in supply issues. And that number, if you take those, the shortfall in that dozen years, comes out to about 4 million houses that we are short. And that is what the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says kind of equates to, what we're short as far as supply versus demand in the number of homes. So those two factors tell me that, again, I don't have a crystal ball for what's going to go on for any social economic issues in the world. But as far as supply, demand, and equity, those two factors should prevent the real estate market from crashing unless they are acted upon by an outside influence. So that is my rant. Hopefully you're still here. If you think it's too much, a lot of times with my YouTube videos, when I watch them or listen to them, I listen to them on about 1.75 speed. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast where that can't be done. But hopefully you're still here. Let's dive into kind of the local market here in what I call Western Wake County, which is made up of Holly Springs, Apex, Cary, and Morrisville. It's the area that is the closest to where I work the most. So let's take a look at the local statistics here for Western Wake County. So we'll start looking at these same three numbers every week so that you can get a kind of a trend to see where the market is going. So as far as active number of listings in Western Wake County, week ending 11/9, we had 675 active listings on the market, down just slightly from the week before. The same week a year in 2023, we are up, I think that's about 19% from 587. And then we have a 52-week high, so you can kind of see what that high bar is on a weekly basis. We saw that weekly high number of listings in the first couple weeks of October at 725. So even though we are up from the week before or even from the year before, we are not quite to that 50-year week high. So we're still not at the highest point in that. These statistics are gathered from the local multiple listing service, Dorify, as well as their analytics software in there, Domus Analytics. So again, we take a look at these as a snapshot every week. The next set of statistics as far as the local market goes is the number of new listings. So this past week, we saw a huge drop in the number of new listings, which again does correlate to those national numbers as well. We only saw 57 new properties. These are single family condos and townhouses specifically. 57 new listings hit the market as opposed to the week before where we saw 76. And then the year before the same week, we saw 93. So these numbers kind of trail the election. You know, you usually see a huge lull before the election. And then historically, in that same video where I talk about the real estate market and how it may reflect to an election, I have some election kind of what happens the year after that in that video as well. Again, link to that in the description below. 52-week high we saw in middle of May at 140 new listings, which again, you would expect as we hit that spring market. That is when the most new listings pop on historically, and we have the data to show that as well. Finally, let's take a look at the number of pending sales. So number of pending sales dropped from the week before. Again, with the number of houses on the market, we have 58 as current pending sales, 71 the previous week. The same week last year, we saw 78, and this is down from down 50% actually from a 52-week high that we saw in April of 2024. So that is a recap of the local statistics. Just one more section for us before we head out, and that is a weekly snapshot of the mortgage rate. So these numbers are pulled from the Mortgage News Daily, which is, I believe, the most reliable resource out there as far as the average mortgage rates. Now, keep in mind with this, I am also a licensed mortgage loan originator. And just keep in mind with that, these are just an average that the market is seeing. You can go to a specific lender who, depending on what your credit profile looks like and the program that you're looking for, they may vary kind of significantly from these, depending on what your credit profile looks like and what programs you're using, or just what that bank has for options available for you. But this is just a national average from Mortgage News Daily. This is my mortgage minute. So as of yesterday, the mortgage average 30-year mortgage fixed mortgage rate came in at 7.02. This is slightly up from 6.98 the week before and up about a third of a point from a year ago, this same exact week. We saw a 52-week low of 6.11. I think that was mid-October that we saw that, and then a 52-week high of 7.5. If you dig into that article that I would post in the from my headlines from Lawrence Yune's speech at Real Estate Next NAR, he does mention that he believes we will not see a 4% kind of mortgage rate, even though we saw that in the last Trump presidency. He does not believe we will get anywhere near that, again, unless something catastrophic happens to the market, which would cause those rates to go down. He believes that we'll get back to what has always been the norm of interest rates, which was kind of a 6.5 to kind of 7.5, margin in there, maybe 6 to 7 being, kind of hovering where we see the rates hover in between. So that is my mortgage minute. And then the last thing is going to be a weekly recap that we have of the 10-year Treasury bill. So this is actually probably the best indicator out there as far as where the mortgage rates are going. So this is kind of correlates the most. A lot of people get focused on the Federal Reserve rate, and the Federal Reserve dropped that discount rate again this week, but we did not see mortgage rates kind of drop because of that, because they're not really, they're correlated, of course, but they are not completely tied together. So when the Federal Reserve drops interest rates, that does not instantly reflect in the mortgage market. And I heard a great analogy on this the other day, and I forget exactly who it was from, but he correlated this to Apple stock. So when Apple, what you see is when Apple says they're going to release a new product, maybe they've got a new iPhone coming out or a new, state-of-the-art AirPods coming out. When they have that announcement of the new product, that is when you see the huge spike in that stock. That same thing's kind of happened. Fed is anticipating a decrease in the rate. What we saw as the weeks leading up to that is where the mortgage rates actually dropped in anticipation of the Federal Reserve drop. And then what happens when Apple releases their product is on that day where it actually releases, sometimes that stock goes down. Even though, that new product is coming out, has come out, it kind of has a reverse effect on the rates themselves. So 10-year Treasury bond, a Treasury bill, closing as of yesterday at 4.43. This is up from a week ago of 4.34. A year ago, we saw 4.41, and then a 52-week low of 3.64 and a 52-week high of 4.71 with about a 1.1% rate spread there on those two, which if I go back to that is kind of similar to what you've seen the 52-week high, 52-week low of the mortgage rate. So it's a lot more tied to the 10-year Treasury than it is to the Federal Reserve rate. So I promised you, if you stayed to the end, I had a special announcement that I was going to make for you today. So let's get on to that announcement here. So again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I know it's a lot of information, but for both professionals and for anybody who is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I feel it is monumental for you to understand what is going on in the market and understand what's truly going on in the market, not just what you may see in the headlines, which are, several weeks after. So again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for that. Give us a like, subscribe, give me your comments and your feedback if you've made it this far. But finally, what I had here is on December 11th, December 11th, Wednesday, I am going to be running a Raleigh area first-time home buyer webinar on Zoom. It is free. Normally, I charge $29 for this kind of event. Usually donate that money, but this one is going to be free on December 11th, 7 to 8 p.m. Come on, learn about some of the mistakes that, from my experience, I see first-time home buyers make so that you can learn from those mistakes and not make them yourself. So link to sign up for that seminar is going to be in the description as well. And that is all. Thank you so much for making it through the first episode of The Week in Real Estate. Please give me your thoughts, comments, likes, subscribes, whatever feedback you have for this. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next week on The Week in Real Estate.